All right, we've got some Los Angeles Chargers news for you guys. Of course, now that we're deep into free agency, most of, if not all of the major moves have been made. All eyes and all focus is towards the NFL draft. We've got some big time news involving head coach Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers on that front. Let's get directly into the report and then we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is from the Yard Barker. Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh's comments on Wednesday at the NFL's annual league meeting in Orlando, Florida, may have hinted that he's leaning toward one specific position over the other in the upcoming NFL draft. If I ask you the question, what position group depends on no other position group to be good, but every other position group depends on them to be good, what position group is that? Offensive line, Harbaugh said via NFL reporter Adam Hoge. The D line, they'll be the ones to argue we don't need the offensive line to be good. But do you like when the offense has a 12-play drive and has field position that it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Building that kind of offensive line, that's exciting. Can't wait to do that April 26th, the draft. Let's get it started. Let's go. All right, based on Harbaugh's comments, it looks like the Chargers may have revealed potentially their top draft target for the first round and maybe the entire NFL draft, their overall strategy. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Chargers fans, in the comment section below, assuming there are no trades, put in your thoughts of who you think, not who you think the Chargers will pick, but who you think the Chargers should take with their first round pick. Let us know that in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this news and what it means for the Chargers going forward.
Yeah, Nick, we all know it is draft season. It is smokescreen season. It is subterfuge season. Nobody can really take what anybody says at face value. But when we're come to Jim Harbaugh and this quote here, I think you have to look at the body of work. You have to look at the running backs that they've brought in. You have to look at the offensive coordinator they've brought in. You have to learn that they are really going to try to become a power running team with Justin Herbert, and they will obviously want to protect him as well. So I think when you look at Jim Harbaugh, I think these comments are probably true, and they will be targeting an offensive lineman in the draft. When you look at LA's offensive line, Slater has been a really great left tackle for them. But if you look at Trey Pipkins, he's kind of been a liability. He let up 9 sacks last season with 49 pressures as well. Not very great numbers. So I think the Chargers have been going around trying to find replacements or potentially across all of the offensive line to help build up what they're looking for going forward. I think they've been looking a lot at Notre Dame recently. You've seen the articles about that. Notre Dame's Joe Alt has been the consensus top draft or top tackle in the draft recently. I think that's an interesting target. I think Penn State's guy Olofashanu has been really good, as well as Alabama's J.C. Latham. Those are all guys I think look really good on paper, and the Chargers have been looking at those guys as well. They would pair very nicely with Rashawn Slater. We can also look at the interior line. I think those are some options, but the other part of the board is wide receiver. That could be the thing they're looking at. But I think if you look at everything involved, if you look at the deficiencies on their current offensive line and what they're trying to do with their offensive scheme, it makes sense to me that Jim Harbaugh and this new Charger staff are going to target an offensive lineman with their first pick in the draft.
I agree with everything you're saying there. If you go back to Harbaugh's time in San Francisco, and I was pulling it up in front of me to make sure I got it, in his 4 years, they only drafted an offensive lineman one time in the first 3 rounds. That was offensive guard Joe Looney. They didn't rely on drafting offensive linemen very much at all during his tenure in San Francisco. And you could make an argument that's the one reason that obviously the 49ers were really good. They ran the ball well. But one of the reasons they couldn't win that final big game, whether it was in the Super Bowl against the Ravens or other opportunities in their postseason losses when Harbaugh was running San Francisco, was they didn't have a dominant offensive line to turn to. What does Harbaugh do when he goes to Michigan? Over time, he builds a dominant offensive line, the best offensive line in college football. It results in beating Ohio State 3 straight seasons and, of course, winning the national title this past season. So you can see the evolution of Harbaugh as a coach, right? And I think that's what we're getting this season. We're seeing Harbaugh going to the sort of the culmination of like, hey, before I know what it takes to win the NFL. I did it with San Francisco, had a lot of success, won a lot of games, but we didn't get over the hump because I didn't have a dominant offensive line up front across the board. I learned from that at Michigan, and I'm going to use that knowledge now at Los Angeles. And I agree with you. I think Joe Alt is the guy you go after 100%. He's the best. Honestly, I know a lot of people look at the best player in the draft. Some people say Caleb Williams. Some people say Marvin Harrison Jr. And look, they're phenomenal football players. Alt, if you watch him play for 5 seconds in college football, he looks like a phenomenal offensive lineman. We throw around the term generational talent a lot, but to me, Alt has the ability, again, it's a prospect, so it's not a guarantee. He has the ability to have a Joe Thomas-like impact, a Zach Martin-like impact from, for the Dallas Cowboys. Joe Thomas, of course, played with the Cleveland Browns for a very, very long time in the NFL. So I think Harbaugh doesn't turn that down. I think he revealed his top draft target here, which, by the way, isn't a bad move considering that the other 4 positions in front of him, everyone's targeting for potentially quarterbacks, first 3 likely drafted. Cardinals could be trading back. So it's not like this is a situation where Harbaugh's like playing too fast and loose with his position. He's in a position right now. It's like, listen, everyone knows I've got Herbert. I'm not taking a quarterback. I'm going to be very vocal about the fact I want offensive line, and I think it's the right move to make.
Yeah, Nick, if you look at the Chargers offensive line as well, like I said, we all know Rashawn Slater, great left tackle. Zion Johnson at left guard, he's a young guy, only from the 2022 draft class. I think they'll probably give him a little bit more time to develop. So I think that position right there is fine. They just got Bradley Bozeman to become the center of this team. We talked about Jamari Sawyer. He really came into his own. He's been a relatively good player for the team the last couple of years. So that leaves that right tackle position with Pickens to be the really big gaping hole on this line. So I think, like what you talked about, I think what Harbaugh said, I think tackle is really the position they're going to go after. And at that number 5 spot, they're going to have their pick of the litter, cream of the crop. You can get absolutely who you think is the best person in the draft. And I don't think it's outrageous to take the top rated tackle and, like you said, potentially generational talent at tackle at that number 5 spot. So I think this will be a great selection for the Chargers, and I'm really excited to see what they do on draft day. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, even your relatives. It's all out there. That's why we use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our information and automatically submits opt-out requests for us.
Cleaning up our information not only reduces the amount of that stupid spam we all get, but it also protects us from hackers who could use this information to help them access our social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does much more to protect us and our families from online threats. We also get features like antivirus protection, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. That's really key. One location, get all this great stuff. It's really easy to set up, and the best of all, we get everything at one affordable price.
And you may already have 1 or 2 of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work to keep you safe so you can focus on other tasks and have peace of mind. We value our privacy and we value yours. You can go to aura.com/Saturday to start your 2-week free trial. Also, link below in the description. Again, aura.com/Saturday for your free 2-week trial.